And we're having a pretty interesting conversation. So, my name is Esther Malasha, and today's guest is one of a kind. So, our guest today is one of Zambia's most recognized and outspoken political figures. She has served as a member of parliament for Monali constituency and later as a nominated member of parliament. She later on arose to be the deputy secretary general of the Patriotic Front. So, for years, Mumbi Phiri has been at the center of Zambia's political debate from the rising of the Patriotic Front and them coming into power, to their years in governance, and to the very debated conversation about them sitting in opposition. So today we discuss her political journey, the evaluation and current state of the Patriotic Front, her support for Honorable Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu's ticket, and the performance of the UPND administration, as well as the state of the opposition in Zambian politics. My guest on the show, Mrs. Mumbi Phiri. Welcome to Capital FM.
Thank you very much. Esther at Capital FM. This is the first time I'm coming here.
Really?
You have such a nice place.
Thank
you. I love gardening. I even love your outside. It's so clean.
You should come see outside.
Oh,
so
I did.
Really?
I did. Just when you're entering the gate, you're able to tell that this is a clean place. Even the saws which I hear are so clean. That's why you see me shouting when those trucks park outside my yard throwing litter.
I was about to find out. I was saying we're seeing your lives where we're seeing you complaining about the trucks parked outside your gate. Did you have any problems leaving the house today?
No, I didn't. Okay. And surprisingly, yesterday when I went to the premises, I took pictures of how our places are being littered, even with human waste. Them on their side, they have put toilets. I showed that yesterday.
Yes.
And when I went back home, at least I found a new mobile toilet near my place. So today it's not as bad as it used to be. But from here, I can tell you, because I don't think Ratsa is functioning. And Ratsa is a stone throw away from my house.
So
I want to go and engage them. Okay. My worry, people may not understand. We have the biggest community school in Tandabale ward on that road. And we have baby class, middle class children coming from that school. Sometimes you have a grade 1 carrying the siblings who are in baby class, middle class. So it's my concern that I don't want to see a life being lost, because you know how children are. So today, Ratsa, some of you are watching me, I'm dating you in Suvares, because you are so close. Some of you pass through, because those trucks sometimes even reach the greatest road, and there's nothing you're doing about it.
We're hoping that when you're going to Ratsa, you go live so we see what.
Yes, I will be live.
Okay. Now, very outspoken woman right here in the studio, but we want to find out where your political journey actually started. So you have been involved in Zambian politics for several decades now, and you served as a member of parliament and the Monali constituency, and a very big position. You were the deputy secretary general of the Patriotic Front. So what initially drew you into active politics, and what are your key moments that shaped your political journey?
For me, I never even thought I would be a politician one day.
Okay.
I think it was circumstances. I didn't even belong to Patriotic Front. You might not believe this. I was identified when my son died in that Kawambwa accident, because as a family, we adopted those children who went to South Africa, the 9 of them, when they were brought to Kablonga Boys Secondary School, because that's where children in Zambia with disabilities go to school. That school has been there since Zambia's independence, where we saw body feeding them. Those disabled children have already been fed by the previous governments, because it has been there from UNIP, MMDPF. When I was fighting for those children, it was the MMD which was in power. And the Levi Mwanawasa administration barred me from going to the school. But the children, because they loved me, they couldn't stop them. Those who are living in that area in 2005, they could attest to the fact that those children started coming to my home when I was living in Sunningdale. Every Saturday, you could see wheelchairs, crutches coming to my home.
So you've been doing it for a while.
So that's where I was identified from. I wasn't a politician. That was charity. By me being St. Anne and my husband St. Joachim, we do a lot of charity. So when 2006 elections came in, the people who applied to stand in Munadi constituents was Xavier Chimba, who is now running a political party. Is it UPP? and Frida Kansembe, who later became, she was a deputy minister, later she became ambassador to Brazil. So when MMD adopted Austin Chewe, these two were interested, and in 2001, it's Honorable Sylvia Chadikosa who applied, but in 2006, she wasn't interested. So PF found themselves with no candidate. So through the church, I was then congregating at Kalingalinga St. Francis Xavier Parish. That time I was young, I was 32, and I could drive, you know, when those canters came in. Because of the work I was doing, I used to drive a Toyota Venture, which my husband bought for me. But in that Toyota Venture, when somebody died, I could use the Toyota Venture to carry the body to the mortuary from the compounds. So I was identified through the church. They told Mr. Sata, him also being a Catholic, that if you are looking for somebody who can stand in Munadi, there's a young lady whom we think she has touched so many lives. You can go and speak to her.
Okay. Were you interested? Were you open?
No. Now listen, the two gentlemen came, may their souls rest in peace. And I feel bad that the person I considered to be my father, I couldn't even attend his funeral because I was scared. Since it was UPND, I was scared of being beaten. You know how UPND behaves. So Honorable Guy Scott and the late President Sata came to my home. Then I just saw this Muzungu in my home. And then I welcomed them. And then they said, no, madam, we have picked you to stand in Munadi. What do you mean? Me, I'm not a politician. How can you say you have picked me to stand in Munadi? No, everybody here, they have said you can win the Munadi. What? And then I told them, no, you know the way politics are perceived with prostitution. I said, I don't want to be a prostitute. They tried to talk to me. I said, no. Then they followed my husband. He was at work. And they spoke to him. And he was also convinced, because when my son died in that Kawamba disaster, I was sort of getting depressed. And that time I was also going to Kola Foundation. Even people from Kola Foundation convinced me. That's how my husband gave me money. I remember that time it was 500 for the application, to take the application to the secretariat. When I reached secretariat, I had to hide that 500 because I wasn't interested. I went with an application. Then Mr. Sata said, where's the 500 for the application? Then I said, I don't have. Meanwhile, my husband gave me, but because I was not interested, then he called the late Willie Sander, may so also rest in peace. Willie Sander, it so happened that his father was from Luapula, but his mother was from Chinsadi. Then he said, pay for your sister. You know, she's going to win with no hesitation. But Willie Sander paid my nomination, and that's how I put in an application. And that's how I went into Munadi. Not that I would belong to PF or what. And me, I think now it was taking time because I was really depressed over that death. When we go in the campaign, I only had one vehicle, which was a Toyota Venture. And that Toyota Venture used to move in all the 5 wards. People thought I had 3. 2 weeks before the elections, there was a lecturer who later became a permanent secretary, Dr. Chileshe, may so rest in peace. He saw the determination, especially after arrest to Mandahill. According to him, he rated me as the best. By the way, I was the only woman who stood amongst the 4 men. And me, my CV, when I was telling people, I was a housewife, which I was very proud of. I wasn't even mentioning that my first job, I was a presidential air hostess. And I did fashion designing and tailoring at Evelyn Horn. Some maybe are hearing for the first time.
Yes.
I'm a trained early childhood teacher. I was never mentioning those names. Because before I even ran a school, people like this boy who is at Diamond TV, he was my student, Cheswa. At my nursery school, he was my student, ask him. But I wasn't mentioning that. I was just saying I'm a housewife. But the other contenders, there was an aeronautic engineer, the father to these golfers now. There was a lawyer, there was Austin Chewe, and there was another person, and there was a 5th one. And I beat them pants down. Yes, pants down. And when people say, even this election, when people have decided, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can imagine, Mr. Sata used to call me giant killer because Austin Cho was buying people watches, fridges, television. Nobody can claim that they put in money in my campaign. My campaign was singly sponsored by my husband from his money, from his pocket. And my husband is not a businessman.
No.
He's just an engineer. From his salary, he was able to sponsor my campaign.
So
and I won. Because it's him who said you have to do something. I don't know if he believed in me. But a week before the election, I saw that he had put in so much. Then I asked him, Daddy, what if I lose? What will happen? You have put in so much. You're my wife. I have to support whatever you're doing.
Okay. I think that's honestly a beautiful story. The fact that most people are learning that you have so many things under your belt apart from politics, you being a teacher, you being a fashion designer. And I want us now to shift the conversation towards politics and your political, you've told us how you got into politics. Now you're in power as a Patriotic Front, and you're one of the most prominent female voices in the Patriotic Front when they were in government. I want to ask you, when you sit down, what do you think was your greatest contribution to the Patriotic Front government?
When we were in power, the first phase of Michael Sata, I remember I became a diplomat. I was Zambia's High Commissioner to Nairobi with extra accreditation to 5 other countries, which was Israel, Eritrea, South Sudan. I was actually the first High Commissioner from Zambia to present credentials to South Sudan and the UN systems. So I only came back a month before President Michael Sata died, because he was very sure he wanted me to come. I arrived on the 1st of October. He wanted me to take over, to be part of the secretariat. And he told me himself, when he was passing through Nairobi, he told me, you have to come back home so that you'll be part of the secretariat. And I arrived on the 1st of October, and unfortunately, President Sata died on the 28th of October. I became just a member of Patriotic Front. And that's when there were wrangles, you know, the wrangles which were there. I believed in Edgar Chagwalungu. And I feel bad if there's those people who convinced him to say the way these people want you to withdraw. You remember the Satas. Most of the people who came who wanted to take over the presidency were President Sata's relatives. His wife, his children, his Sebeles, you know. It was only Rubinda who wasn't related to Mr. Sata, which was very sad. Finally, President Lungu won, and I think they had a discussion. He knew why I came back from the Foreign Service. It's him who made me to be the Deputy Secretary General. And I think from my point, I contributed very much so. And even when people talk about cadres, people can attest to that, and they say, I was a lone voice. I spoke about wrongs. I could go even at the famous Kamgod. It's me who went there and chased those boys who were doing whatever they were doing. And I'm not shy to say this because my late president realized that there was no lie in what our cadres were doing. And he himself apologized. And from that experience, I'm telling you, nothing like that will ever happen in Zambia. We will not be like these, whose cadres are beating people. You're seeing that. And me, I thank God. You know, God works in different ways. When our materials were kept at the borders, people started crying. Do you know what we are calling ourselves? We are saying we are the team with Team no Rigaria. Do you know what they were going to do if we had the Rigaria? You have seen those fake t-shirts they made, they make thugs wear, and they were with their pangas. They've been exposed because those t-shirts are not ours. If you look at those t-shirts and the t-shirts which are being made by the candidates, the logo is completely different. So when we get to power, because majority of us are now in Tonse Pamozi Alliance, we are on Tonse and we're supporting Honorable Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. You will not see lip service where the president says, you are on your own. He's saying that you are on your own because when you are doing the rubbish, where he's going out of power, When you go and cry, I need a lawyer, he will tell you, you're on your own.
I think taking back to what you talked about, you said you're one of the people that talked about Kadarism heavily. But the biggest challenge the Zambian people had was Kadarism with the Patriotic Front. Do you feel like it was a portion of the Patriotic Front that did not endorse Kadarism, and there's another portion of the Patriotic Front that let Kadarism slide?
No, in fact, that Kadarism, we have just come to realize our people could have been there, but mainly UPND took advantage. You remember that they were saying red inside, green outside, and they were getting our regalia, some of them, make it, their people wear it, and they start misbehaving. So because it was in our regalia, yes, there was some element of our youth who were misbehaving, but UPND took advantage of that. That's why this time they have been exposed, because we have no regalia, and when they are killing each other, it's the pictures of the red which is showing, because if we're regalia, we are team no regalia.
So you're saying that some of the Kadarism and the violence that was exhibited in the 2021 period general elections could have been sponsored by the UPND?
It was sponsored by UPND themselves, and they were even saying, watermelon. They were calling it watermelon. And now they have seen the watermelon. No mbapa because tatukwete regalia, ichakufuala tabakwete.
Okay. I think let's talk about the Patriotic Front. So the Patriotic Front moved from being Zambia's governing party to now being in the opposition and seeing different leadership struggles around there. We saw different leadership claims, and you talked about it just a little bit. We saw different leadership claims and people coming out and saying this one, the party belongs to this one, and the party belongs to another person. What crisis caused the primer breakup of the Patriotic Front? Do you think it was the death of former President Edgar Lungu, or do you think it's the fact that different people wanted to claim ownership of the party, or do you think it was the weakening leadership that was already existing within the party?
No, just from the time President Michael Sata died, I can say those from the family thought Patriotic Front belonged to the family. Who brought the confusion? Mao Sampa was one of the presidential candidates when the uncle died, Michael Sata. Even when he went to that fake convention, he proudly said, this is my uncle's party. So for me, and when you look, have you ever heard anybody from Michael Sata's family condemn what Mao Sampa was doing? They were all quiet. Behind the scenes, we don't know what they were doing. Because if they were not agreeing, publicly, Mao Sampa was saying, this is my uncle's party. And you heard me say, and most people don't like me because me, I just say the truth. I told by Edgar Lungu when I came out of prison, because some of these things were happening when I was in prison. I said, let us make our own political party, because me, I've never been interested when all this rubbish started happening. Because President Michael Sata was so close to me, he never told me that he formed Patriotic Front for his nephew, for his wife, for his children. No, he formed that party for the people of Zambia. Now, if one of his relatives starts now intimidating us, even if I feel that person doesn't have the qualities of a leader, but just because he was related to Michael Sata, he should intimidate us. That's why I came out and said, everybody knows that I said, let us form another political party.
So do you feel like the PF was dying the moment late President Michael Sata?
Yes, okay. That's when it died. Because others, for 8 members of his family, wanting Basebere, Abakashi, Umwana, Umuipwa, Bachufi Banabo, name them to stand. What does that mean? I said it is only given Rubinda who was outside the family arrangement.
So after ECL, who do you think is primarily to blame for where the Patriotic Front has reached now?
It's Mao Samba and his family, because they believed that was their relatives' party, and it's really sad. Okay. That Patriotic Front, which Michael Sata worked tirelessly for, after the 2026 elections, it's going to go into oblivion.
I was about to ask, do you feel like there's any redemption for the Patriotic Front to come back?
I don't think anybody would want to bring it back to be harassed by his relatives.
Okay. It's Capital FM 99.7, and we're sitting down with Mumbi Phiri in the studio. And eventually, we will open the phone lines and you'll be able to call us. But for now, we're talking about all things politics, all things the Patriotic Front, the current government UPND, as well as her choice to stick beside Honorable Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. So, going back to the Patriotic Front before we get to where we're at, so the PF. Okay, the PF ruled from 2011 all the way until 2021, and people will say that the PF's reign was decorated by infrastructure development, airports, schools, and so many different things. But at the same time, they'll talk about the debt. Okay, and we did see that IMF estimated that Zambia's public debt had reached more than 130% of its GDP in 2020, and after the country defaulted on its external debt in 2023, apologies, and then the country defaulted on its debt in 2020. Looking back and making an honest analysis of the Patriotic Front, what did you think the government did right, and what did you think they did entirely wrong?
They defaulted. We defaulted in 2020. Were we the only country which defaulted? There were so many countries which defaulted because of the COVID. That's why we were even given money, which added to our reserves at the Bank of Zambia. PF left a reserve, had a reserve of 2.9 million. When we were given that money as a cover-up during the COVID, by the time PF was leaving, it was at 3.1 in the reserves. So hence, when Hakainde Hichilema is saying we have 6.5, remind him that he has just added to what PF left, which is 3.1.
So you don't...
Let me... The debt, they have been lying to people that they have restructured the debt. They're not even ashamed. When PF was in power, President Hakainde Hichilema was bragging. He was even saying that Razard, which PF had hired to restructure the debt, it's a sheer waste of money. Hakainde Hichilema can do that personally. I'm wondering why he has continued with Razard. When he's so knowledgeable, why has he failed? He offered and he's in the driving seat. Why has he failed to restructure the debt? Because now even IMF has refused to give UPND money. They are holding on. They are looking for the next government. That's whom they are going to give the money. This guy who calls his friend boys hasn't restructured the debt. Mind you, the debt hasn't been restructured up to today. And we have been told like that by the Minister of Finance. And when you're talking about GDP, you are my granddaughter. Me, as your grandmother, I was there even if I was young in UNIP. You know, when there was a presentation of the budget, even us who were in grade 5 would see it and listen because they were using simple English. Gross domestic, what they are calling GDP. It reflects when you're able to eat 3 times a day. You young people I'm seeing here, are you able to eat 3 times a day? You are even now getting used from the schools. Are you aware that this food which they are giving children in schools, they don't give them from Monday to Friday. They are only given some twice a week, some 3 times a week. I'm just coming from Central Province. They are now even making you get accustomed from young age. Kungandoko mwafuma kulisala bamipikira kwefya kulya mwalyako 1 day mwalala nesala mwadya 2 days mwalala nesala because they're not giving that food every day. Cooking oil, let's say sugar, which was at 35 kwacha 2 kg, how much is it now? 80 kwacha. How much was an egg? But proud, there's this proud, my son-in-law from Garden, he was saying, was it at 1 kwacha? How much is 1 egg now? How much was cooking oil? How much is it now? When I was in prison, I found those sachets, which they were calling body sachets of cooking oil. They were telling me when they went in prison, those who voted from prison, it was at 1 kwacha. When I was leaving, it was at 5 kwacha. Can you say GDP is doing well? They're full of lies. But the goodness is, people are getting affected. Hunger is real. GDP is on paper. That's why they are going.
It's Capital FM 99.7, and we will be opening the phone lines soon, so you can send in your questions, comments, and contributions for our guest this morning. So I did ask you that what are some of the things that you felt like the PF did right, and some of the things that you felt like the PF did absolutely wrong?
We were on the right, on the right path. But because of the lies and the propaganda which UPND were saying, that's what makes PF look like we didn't do anything good. You talked about the infrastructure development. Are you aware that some of the schools which were not finished, up to today, they haven't been finished? Clinics which were not finished, up to today, they are not finished. And that's why people are saying, Abobe never pompwe. They can't even say but to take it because we saw what they did. You know? How can you be proud in 2026? Muleba proud that naba mikurira 1 by 3 classroom block. Is that development? When our friends are building skyscrapers in form of secondary school, if Otuleba proud of 1 by 3 classroom block. You know, places like Western Province, when you go there, I stayed there for 1 year, 2 months, although I was in prison. But ngolea ku clinic, abana baleya kuma school mu mashasha. When they make blocks, they open those 1 by 3 classroom blocks. By the time they are opening, they have cracks because kudakwa sand, you don't even know how they are going to last. Areas like Western Province, you need those refabricated materials to make schools. There are classrooms. I went to Mufria Secondary School. We had those fabricated classrooms. They were built by the World Bank. They're still there. Munadi here, go there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you ask them, where are the fabricated classrooms? They will show you. Most of the schools had those World Bank projects. That's what we need in Western Province.
Okay. Let's shift our attention to talking about the current presidential candidates, Honorable Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, and we'll talk about so many other things right here. I've seen the signal, but before we get to that particular conversation, what made you believe that Honorable Brian Mundubile and Honorable Makebi Zulu are the right vehicle to actually remove the current UPND out of power?
Honorable, we always told you about Plan B. And I think I was the first person who talked about Plan B. Why those people were identified amongst all of us. One, we've seen these people have shown leadership. Let's talk about Brian Mundubile. The way he has been harassed in Parliament as leader of the opposition, he still stood firm. Even when he was removed and replaced by that Chabinga, he still stood and he held our members of Parliament together. Look at the way Makebi Zulu stood with the late President Lungu. When everybody ran away, he stood. These are good leaders whom we have identified that they can look after the people of Zambia with passion, with empathy. And I'm so proud that I'm supporting them.
Okay, let's talk about a very big conversation that has been making headlines, and that is FRA. Okay, we've seen that there's conversations about the maize prices and maize not being the maize floor prices not being announced on time. Now, you've had a lot to talk about about it when it comes to FRA. Now, we just want to have you on record. What is your take around what is going on with regards to FRA?
Us as Fabas, remember me, I'm from Chongwe Rural. I'm Lusaka Rural, which is Chongwe. We have even composed the song. Ushe fama wali fola tatwa fola ukepusheva echechi batireta muri moisture. He said it. President HH directed the FRA that they should start buying maize. Moisture content is low. They should start buying and they should announce the floor price. The following day, we saw the board chair, Mr. Desai, whom I have a lot of respect for, came out and he started giving us the figures that some of the maize, their moisture content is at 12%. He told us. So who is lying between my father, Desai, and President Hakainde Hichilema? Because Hakainde Hichilema is a farmer like me. Was he lying to us, fellow farmers, that moisture content is low? And me now, I'm wondering, those trucks you were asking me about, it's so sad that those Nutrifeed is buying that maize at 4 kwacha per kg, which translates to 200 kwacha per 150 kg. Us as farmers, the last farming season, we were buying fertilizer at 1,300, 1,400. Those farmers who are under government program were being given fertilizer, Muma Meda. You saw the example of those women who were sharing seed in Kateto have since been arrested. It's not a lie. So who is fooling who? Farmer. Isurame, so do you want this government to come back? You continue sharing fertilizer, Muma Meda, Napatubare. It's very annoying.
It's Capital FM 99.7, and the phone lines will officially be open at 10 hours. The number you'll be able to reach us on is 0773-792-475, 0773-792-475. Additionally, we are live on our Facebook page, which is Capital FM 99.7 and Smart Eagles. Now,
and you know, before I finish, let me just conclude on the FRA issue. You remember during the PF time, farmers were not only given maize and fertilizer, they were given a variety of seed. There where you could grow beans, they were given beans, they were given soya, they were given even rice. Now, farmers are only getting maize. Groundnuts, they were given as seed through the pack. You farmers, do you want to go back? That's why even malnutrition in this regime has gone high. Which malnutrition which was being eradicated, like this regime.
What would you do differently?
Ama buckets kusenda bucket
Okay, as the Brian Mundubile administration, if you're brought into power, what would you do differently with regarding the FRA situation and farmers and the maize floor prices not being announced?
You know that Brian Mundubile was provincial minister for Northern Province at one time, before he became government chief whip in parliament. He was attending cabinet and he knew the plans we had. Makebi Zulu was the deputy minister in Eastern Province. No, he was minister for Eastern Province. The deputy minister has been abolished. And I'm sure by our constitution, you know that we don't have deputy ministers. So even provincial ministers are cabinet ministers because they attend the cabinet. That's the scenario. They were part of that cabinet which had plans. When you see Brian Mundubile talking about industrialization, he knows what he was talking about. Because they started, there was even a white paper which started, if you have seen that pineapple industry which has been opened in Northwestern Province, it was started in the PF time. We identified the outgrower scheme farmers, and at a certain time before the UPND opened, they started crying because they didn't know where to sell the pineapples. And for that, Nichola UPND, Tabala and Dechinka, they have created an impression as if it's them who started it and finished it. We had another industry of cassava in Ichitambo. We identified even the outgrower scheme farmers over cassava. It's there, they'll continue. Industrialization, when you hear Brian Mundubile talking about industrialization, we identified farmers to be growing fruits in the Eastern Province. That industry is supposed to be in Katete. So, and it was started. When we get back to power, this industrialization, we are going to see it. And we were supposed to identify this industrialization in every province. In Western Province, you saw And you have seen when you are going to Mongo, there is a stretch. I can give one example, a stretch of cashew nuts from Kaoma as you are going to Nankane, Mongo. There were so many farms which were revamped. Ayakwetama cashew nuts. In Kaoma again, when we were talking about fish farming, we wanted to start selling fish. In Kaoma, there is a place where government started growing Utuma fingerlings to be selling to everybody. When you came home, some of you have been to my home, you saw I wanted to start fish farming because before I was arrested. I started putting water in my fish ponds, then I was arrested. That's how it died.
You've talked about all these things that could be done. Why weren't these things done when you were in power?
These things were done. We were in power. They were in the pipeline. That's what I've told you. It's us. Ku Central Province ingawaya. Kwadi baba farmers otwachitakale identify. Badi ambire no kumenesha cassava. The industry took off there. Ngawaya Western Province. Ama cashew nuts na revamp. We even brought in experts from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. They are there. Katete, I can even take you to the farmers that these were identified. But they have become a white elephant because the people who were there, they didn't have that vision. They removed the people who were in that vision. Honorable Mundubile, Honorable Makebi, they know about this industry. That's why now and by industrialization. They already started. Na kubanga fimu tifyama cashew nuts, Western Province. No kukula na fikula. Do you know that in Western Province, we even made a laboratory for testing diseases munama, it's there. Find out because it was about to be opened. It's there, which was supposed to cater for the whole country. What has happened to that place? We're just going to revamp what we know because the infrastructures are there. Farmers have been identified. The forest is there. You remember that President Edgar Lungu gave Iriaka Wambwa tea. When we came into power, Bantu Baledida, Kawambwa tea was nowhere. Baisa kuliza fiko. Kawambwa tea up to now, it's doing well. Munushi bananas was revamped also. It has just died because these ones don't have the vision for that. It's there. Ngamwaya kumwansa bombwe mwense in between. Walasangana bananas. And through forestry, we wanted your industrialization ngamanfoba Mundubile baleranda. If you go to Chinsari, from Mpika Kuluitikira, you go before Shuangandu, there is a big forest with planted trees. Okay. You cross, you go to Nakonde. That road there is a road which goes to, from Nakonde to Kasama. There is a big forest. We knew when we were talking about industrialization, nobody, me as a deputy secretary general, if I can speak like that. What about Mundubile and Makebi were part of government?
I think there's a question that we're going to ask you eventually about Honorable Brian Mundubile and Honorable Makebi Zulu joining together. Mm-hmm. But before that, to the listeners, it's Capital FM 99.7 and we have Mumbi Phiri in the studio. The phone lines will be open soon. It's 0773 792 475. 0773 792 475 is the number you can call us on. Send in your questions, comments, and contributions. Additionally, you can catch us live on Facebook on Capital FM 99.7 as well as Smart Egos. Now, coming to Honorable Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, before we get into the UPND administration and what you feel like they've done wrong and can do better and what you think they have worked on, other people have called their joining a marriage of convenience, and the sole purpose of them joining is to take away the UPND. So the fear is having them in power. Would they have the same vision? Would they be aligned when people feel like the only reason they have come together is to move away the UPND? Which brings me to your question. Are you joining Honorable Makebi Zulu and Brian Mundubile just because you want the UPND out, or you stand with the vision they have for the Zambian government, the Zambian people?
These two people have the vision for the Zambian people. And these two people are the ones who are being even coached by Edgar Lungu. In case you don't know, we told you that there's plan B. And for those people who listen to me all the time, me, I'm on radio, I was very relaxed and I was calming our followers to say plan B is there, be calm. It will happen. We knew what we were doing. Could we show everybody what we were doing with the Mingalato, which the UPND were doing? That's why even when they went for nomination, people didn't know that they were going to file in as one. They went as different entity. Mundubile was given Tuesday. Makebi Zulu was given Thursday. When Makebi Zulu came with Mundubile at Mulungushi, very few people knew that they were going to file in together.
So having them
when they realized we had so many people in different camps, because we knew these people didn't want any opposition. That's why they were bragging. There's no opposition. We had different groups so that if Mundubile and Makebi were denied to stand, if you remember when they went for fighting, they were the only candidates where the Electoral Commission of Zambia stood down for 30 minutes. I don't know if whoever they were consulting. But Ofole Satalala, they went through. And that stopped. Makebi still had a slot. He could have filed in on Thursday. But it went through on Tuesday. These others we are seeing endorsing, they're just standing down. That was planned.
Why did it take them so long? Is it because of the fear that...
No, I mean, mingalato, and then I mingalato. You have to be sharp when you're dealing with the people who are not straight. You have to be sharp.
Okay.
Yes.
It's Capital FM 99.7, and you can definitely call us. The number is 0773 792475. 0773 792475 is a number you can call us on. Drop your questions, comments, and contributions in the Facebook comment section, and we'll definitely be able to read those. So we do have a caller. Good morning, you're through to Capital FM 99.7. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah. Good morning, Madam Moderator.
Good morning, your name and where you're calling us
from? The voice
is
so low.
God bless you and your family too. Receive 95% of the people grow up as spokesperson Kapamba. I'm calling from here. Anything around me.
Okay, Mr. Kapamba, go ahead with your contribution in under 1 minute 30 seconds.
Nakusenzela manyo zenzela utukija abana kunobalelire ensala. Nakusenzela.
Ebukaitata nabuka fye bwino katuishi bena.
Mayondelwala kairi undelwala. Twadiri obunga bwafula tokusingulya baatuleteri obwabula ndalwala mumala kwena. Mugeza isako mfazeti kasaka nalisunga manyo. Iyo mwala awera ndela ndakasaka nalisunga buli obunga twali.
Okay.
Mwemayo alana bulinda bulamoneka bulatono kutira kwena ababantu bafigukira ensabwe ezimuyeze ndo omuntu ushaishiba kuizintu neli upimo even the governance ebyo yenda shani. That's why mwamona moneni president kana ma-advisor bakunga bashani ndola jeo college we ukulala ndajichaspenda kwempya nanguyimo ibe ayasenda abantu abatyate bashikwetera ngukoyini kuya muzendo komunangwe basakula amatogezi nokusapera ila road 25 years ukwinza muzendo kwisa mupera napsa indalama chabakapambwe the taxpayers money.
Okay, Mr. Kapambwe, thank you. All right, Mr. Kapambwe, thank you very much for your contribution. All right, thank you. Let's queue another caller. Good morning, you're through to Capital FM 99.7. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Good morning, Madam Mumbi Phiri.
Bwino ba mtonga mulishani.
Gwangwangwa, Madam Mumbi Phiri, gwangwangwa.
Okay, your contribution.
Gwangwangwa. The moderator, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think Veninga she contribute. The HH Sivana Sevenze. ngati wa munthu unaseveza ufuniko sontha cheve unaseveza noti wambo kamba chefa vakuti wambo kamba chepali every time ni brani Mundubile Makebi Zulu na brani Mundubile sivanankhalepo va president under PF nkhasako kuti ngati vatitomolera va president HH ero again party ya PF original party ya PF ili na Mauzi Sampa wamene vakudya na eve pamozi no wonder peza ti pamene va president HH vabwero kamba mchizungu zeni ku interpreta kutati tandauzire mu vitundu abwero faula kamba titiri nawo mpati imozi mwamene umu so
sana faula nakamba zona badi nawo
ini conclusion wa mundu ngati ukamba tilizevu ulinayo lizevu valina enough lizevu mafamazi yavutika vafuno vagula milisi why sivanga using lizevu ya manager just because of kuchita progress mafamazi yaendeko pasogoro because Zambia we depend on farmers.
Thank you very much.
Government yatu yachita contribute tavantu tayonda maningi just because of HH apanga mistake.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate the contribution. Ziko Momusalebu Yonaime. So the number is 0773792475. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. You're through to Capital FM. Okay, we have lost that call. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, my sister. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing? Your name and where you're calling us from?
The Honorable himself.
Okay.
Bamukosa mulishani.
Yeah, Mumbi Phiri muli kwanza.
Nili bwino ushawadishi watu bamukosa bena chinsari.
Honorable Mukosa, make your question or contribution in under 1 minute 30 seconds.
Yes, it is very amazing that my sister there is so confident of winning this coming elections. When their leader Mundubile has not told the Zambian people any plans whatsoever, any different and better plans comparing which are better than what is prevailing under this government and this president. What are you offering, Mumbi Phiri? What are you bringing on the table apart from amenities vija vakatarism vamene mwezi napo vija vokura mafire tenders at 1 million each ivene vatiudza vakambwiri pauti ndo balina maevidence yauti there was some manani dubious transactions kuma project yamarodzi yava Mundubile vichani vene muleta, because when you talk about free education you don't understand, and your colleagues, you don't understand free education. That's why you are saying vana vapaka muma classrooms, because you don't know that the first step for free education implementation
okay,
is
thank
to go
you
for children vapuera muma classrooms.
Honorable Mukosa, thank you for
so that when
contribution.
those children come, even if they come in number, that's when you will know how many classrooms you are going to build, how many teachers you are going to employ, how many materials you need to buy.
In conclusion, Honorable Mukosa.
Yes, I just want to assure my sister that in these elections, as the Mundubile group, you are just exercising your right to participate, your constitutional right to participate in an election.
All right.
That you are providing
Thank you.
anything.
So those are the three callers.
At least we have had 3 callers. I'll start with my brother. Bamukosanga balera ndabashaishi batabaishi bati bena chinsari. That's our brother. In fact, that father Mukosa, that's his first cousin. Bantu bati bakulira olulimi lwali lubana bantu bakulira kulya kumbiko area. That's our brother. My dear brother, let me talk about free education, which you're talking about. In a free education, I'm comparing it to the type of education here in South Africa under apartheid, which has brought problems in South Africa. It's exactly the same. In South Africa, there was 2 types of education. Education yama Boers na education yama Africans. Abafita bachifita. Free education iri mu Zambia. Iri ngene na iria education iri mu apartheid ku South Africa oko bachifita bale basenda fe kuma skulu, not to learn, but just to keep them away from the streets. Baba twala ku skulu. education muletere abaana abali muri ayi free education for the 5 years. Even in Zambia, we are going to have a problem. Each generation ababali mu free education. If free education muri abana, one classroom muri 80. Ukunafu, when I was in Central Province, I was live on radio in Kabwe, Mukush is a ranger. People were calling in ukwebati muma classrooms muleba na 130 ine mukosa my brother ninkweba ine ne teacher. You can't handle a classroom umuli abana over 40. You can't mark. Tetuishi benomwana ukwete weakness uwakweba you identify personally wayambo kumwafwa. Abana nari pitamo mushita because kumukushi kukabwe kwali abalandira ati ulebepa a parent code bampera national school. I went there incognito finomule mona pa Facebook nga mwamona ma pictures ngandi kumusha. I don't look like this. I look like I'm coming from there. Nobody can even identify me. Nimfuala na tropico. Ukuya ipusheko na chitirena discover. My brother Mukosha, do you know that children nefinemulela and that feeding program tamulerisha abana every day? Bamo badia twice a day, bamo badia 3 times, badia twice a week, bamo badia 3 times a week. Ero nafira fine fya kulia abatwala inkunishani babomfya pantwira baleita kalati PTA bali chinja PTC. Aba fyashina bo bale chita contribute ama 5 kwacha like kulikuse range banje bati bachita contribute ama 5 kwacha number 10 kwacha. So shira pari free education. So ofo chika baba mukosa abo abana mule yumfa mule twala okuya mukulya ifi boboli ku free education bakesa yambokula abombera abana baba lyangabe eshikulu bandi bona twala ku private school because bena bakakwata proper education. They have one-on-one touch with the teacher. Abana benu problem iri ku South Africa ukasanga omuntu alekweba nga wamuposha mutsungu alekuipusha alefo mupushe mu Africans. I'm a South African. Those who have gone to South Africa, they will agree with me. Nga wambokula ndetsungu wechfita. They even get annoyed. They even ask you bushori musungu. But this is your official language here in South Africa. Yes, and I've got metrics. Metrics but can't even write their name. They can't even speak proper English. Imweba mukosa. Nale ipusha ine kukabwe na kwisa nale ibe ipusha ba kukabwe. Busheba DC, naba MP, naba permanent secretary. Mwariba munapo baleta abana balesambirira muri free education. Pantwine kukabwe nareba shite challenge ama parents. Umwana mwishikulu wandi wa 13 years okwalesambirira ali ku private school. I can't allow my child to take a child, me a teacher, kuri free education oko abana babalongerenga makanta.
Wouldn't you say it's easier to
let me finish because free education eba UPND bare yumfuirapo. I want people to understand and this is serious. Na iwo winenga walitwala kwa abana bobe ku free education wishi bati bakala bombera abana babaka inda baya kuma private school. Abana baba DC bamurusaka baya ku private school and ingabaisa challenge them. Tell them if this free education is a good thing. Why haven't they taken their children there?
But then don't you think that it's easier for the average Zambian that can't afford to take their child to a private school to start from somewhere?
Those government schools, that's why in PF there was free education from grade 1 to grade 7. We wanted to take it gradually so that we extend. Free education is not a bad thing, but it has to be quality, not if you bale chita. Bale bepa no kube party, bonse bale ikalapama desk. Your radio is very close to Munadi Secondary School. Do you know that children start coming to this school at 04? nga wafika pa 06 tawakwata pa kuikala. You are journalists here. I challenge you, go to just Munadi here. You go and see if everyone is sitting on the chair. You go and see how the standards are.
But isn't it better that they're still getting information despite the
for them to become Vakaboy Baba Nabobore Twala Kuskura, are you being fair? That's what has happened in South Africa. Batamfia tukafika ababa naba sambirire education. In 5 years, you remember me. In 5 years, paku tuka ichite phase out. Limbi na ifota toka kwa taba nabe ingiaba educated. Tukambokisenda ama foreigners. Xenophobia mule muna ku South Africa. It will come here because abana besu tabakweta qualifications. Tabakwete proper education. Nakuba mule bachita challenge. Free education bakainde baibera bakafumya from grade 8 to tertiary. Is it free ku tertiary by Kariro Kulanda? No. Meal allowance. Are you aware that meal allowance is a loan? Bursaries bapera abana besikulu kuma universities. Are you aware that it's a loan? When you finish school, gawayambe nchito kwambo kulipira loni. Olo bale pundati GDP iri buino. Salary increment balunda. Echo na bamo gawamona nani kane civil servant ale twalo mwana ku free education. But teacher be naba bafunda. Chaya save. Tabatwala abana kuda ku free education because they know with the change of the system, which syllabus is also confused.
Just to cut you off, we did see the pass rate of the grade 12 come out, and we saw that this current grade 12 that came out was the highest pass rate recorded. Are you still saying that the free education isn't working for seeing grade 12s actually passing, and this being the highest pass rate recorded?
But grade 12 wababa pashile. When did they start grade 1? I've told you I'm an early childhood teacher. The foundation is very important. Ababa grade 7 bapashile na highest rate. Bafumine muri ba PF, te baba UPND. Lolela aba 5 years aba ambide. And mukale conquer their progression. In if I'm alive and I talk, I'll be coming. Wadishwat tuwadiwekera kuri A, E, O, U. Ababana who were in the education yaba PF, they are able to read and write. From Bambo Kulemba mu grade 1. Inake shukuru kandi kari mu grade 2 because that's the system. We yaba leseka. Yaba winter kabimba. Next time when you invite me, I'll come with my granddaughter Ruyando. Uka mpele nangu newspaper alife mu grade 2. Akakuberengera. Ni system yaba PF. Lolela aba kalaya. Kaidi bakala pita fieva na mu grade 7. Do you know why we have examination? Is to examine your formula fundanga na fingira mu bana. How do you have abana abarepita mu grade 7 remember my exams? How do you assess them? Mugapari ifikopo kwa aliwa ku class group A, group B, group 3. Wala ishibasha netu yu wali mu group 3. Na chita improve number firoke mu group 2. With no exams abana bare yafi. Okay. So that assessment for the best results, credit goes to PF. The foundation of those children was excellent.
Okay, it's Capital FM 99.7. Let's pick up your calls. It's 0974575.
Olo nshaswika gyama question yapa. Bachi baba tatu nachira asuka fe ba mukosa.
Okay, let's queue 2 more callers, then you can answer all of them at the same time.
Okay.
Good morning, you're through to Capital FM 99.7. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, good morning, my sister.
Yes, your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, this is Brian, known as Wenewake. Good morning, Mumbi Phiri.
Brian, murishani Wenewake.
Tiribu inamai kayaimwe.
Tiribu ino ni Wenewake bachani. Wenewake banjala no Wenewake ba happiness.
Wenewake ba happiness na peace.
Okay.
Okay, your contribution for us in under 1 minute 30 seconds.
Yes, Amaya Mumbi Phiri.
Mukwai.
Mukamba bwino kwa manankara cheware tipamozi.
Mkwai.
Kairi maskuru bana bapaka bosa mesweza enda kuskuru waenda kuskuru. Veni bimwachona kuti siri bwino. Nezoganiza kuti muzachita encourage government to say mangani maskuru yambiri so that wose bana wamnapezeka kuskuru bankare na education ya bwino. But it's like you muishita demoralize bana kuenda kuskuru bambiri. pamene sipenzoyenda but isatimvera kwa bwino because apa this time mukaenda makomboni mulibe vana vamene vazunguluka kungochache mabatiri na mamapo kulibe vonse vali kumasukulu whatever chamene vazatenga kuja chizapangako change mumanyumba mwawo so tikamba kuti chinthu chabwino but mwakamba iyayi
sinakambe ba Brian, sorry, let me correct you. Sininakambe kuti sichiri bwino. Mwamene mwakambira, naine mwamene nakambira. It's a good thing to have free education, but ifunika inkare quality. And naimwe mwanivomeresa, lekanisirize, mwanivomeresa, kuti bana baja bezochea mabattery. Sibarimu, naine nakamba kuti education bato do bachape bana kubachosa from bad device but paribe quality education. Free education should also be quality education. Nivomera, free education is okay, but it has to be quality, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Brian.
So
all right, thank you very much, Mr. Brian. All right. Okay. Let's get one more caller and you answer all of them.
Yes, I answer all of them, yes.
Good morning, you're through to Capital FM. Yes, good morning, you're through to Capital FM. Your name and where you're calling us from? Hello, good morning. Okay, we have lost that caller. Let's get one more. Hello, good morning. You're through to Capital FM.
My sister, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Uncle Darius, component of Madam Mumbi Phiri.
Mukwai? Na ukabwino.
No, pia mikira kuta amai. Mazambi ya 2021 wanakutosani. Chipukwa chama problem pia. Mfuni kama understand. And I remember former president decided that about. Well, we should apologize for my mistake. So don't expect that from Mundubile. My problem ya mene munari nayo na mana bani. Bamene munari kukunguka nabo. Yanari makimino. Wezi samanzama. Wezi mapenzi chigurandi lorenzi sanda. Ningana analengeza Mundubile. Roma Zambia na Zaikonko. Marangana bamene munasiya na bamene munashanga. This time around mtu ende paraje za Mundubile wote wanaziwa nendo bachona. Mundubile na idea uti bakawala labana alikufa waendera kwa president kuti nikawatose waja chikuwa cha ukriminali maja Mundubile yaja ma helicopter yana likugula bena marangi munali kukonvera nabo.
Okay.
Madam, wait, this is
okay. In conclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So imwe ba anko mukondwera aba bakawala bamene ba chita bankrupt FRA. And I'm challenging you mwe journalists mwe bali muno. You have been told that the information bill has been enacted as law in Zambia. Yadiama documents today mona pa social media. They are authentic. Na yakwatana ma stamp. Konkeni lilia shirifu mineri akweba ati 77 million kwe FRA. 111 kwe FRA. 300 kwe FRA. You know what I'm talking about. Huh? The software chita expose. Uncle, you are happy that 61 containers when you go to the hospital, there are no drugs. I had my grandchild who had my UTH ICU. Even in lab, a 13-year-old girl, she has died. We don't know what has killed her. We were burying in Kabwe. Even the diagnostic wasn't there. If you want to go to the lab, we were taking a specimen, lab, a private lab which is near Lusaka Trust Hospital. Ama gloves, kuya nayo. Imwe ya uncle, you are feeling good. Na imwe bene, ngatwaeba also, na ifoto wambo okulandati, uliomwana bachitire gun down. Bazedenes kuka nkoyo kumufrida, nibaka inde bamwipeye. When we say that boy was gunned down in Mwense, niba UPND bamwipeye. ulyomwaiche wa 25 years obashutile pabunga mukulu kumasaiti by Zambia Army nimwe mwamushutile ulyo bayipeye bakapokola kumasales kumukushi nimwe mwamwipeye uyu mwana bashutile kumutendere nombaline nimwe mwamwipeye ulya umulumendo walensha independent candidate kuchikankata nimwe mwamwipeye uyu waiche baipeye ukukwaba bayovinsi nkando yabalerwile ndalama nimwe mwamwipeye ababana abafwa pa university babiri uyu chibesa kundo wafwire na electrocuted otabala chitana compensate filaimo mwachita compensate chibulu mapenzi nimwe mwamwipeye uyu mwana waponene mu mafi amafi ayimbire ba ZDNS nimwe mwamwipeye yokwena bakole baraseka nefipato. Explain to me ngani bakainde bamwipeye. Secondly, banani kane, are you aware ba Brian mwashebati amaskulu butulolere bakula amaskulu, are you aware that kuli amaskulu aya bana pa 70-80% oyo ba UPND bafiro okupwisha kunani kane kumukushi kuli 4 amaschools ayo kuikelengi. There is a boarding school I know, people agree with me, it's there. They are there ngabadi kwete political will, ngabadi kwete infrastructure oriented brains ngabadi yapuisha nomba pantu bena development ni 1x3 classroom block nama toilet yali ashibomba ya kuchimwemwe, and then they can injasuke ba mchimwene mtonga ala ukulanda padi ba nani kadi padi ba BM8 na ba Makebi bakesa sunga abantu bwino because they were part of the cabinet which was properly thinking na development was laid down. Manifesto bakwete interest yaku mwana manifesto yaba Yesu, it is there. And then bakapambwe chachire tata musunga akabunga mwema voters muikala bati twalilirepo na afrotoxin eyo tatuishibe what will happen in the years to come. Thank you very much.
All right, and we'll be concluding and winding up soon. I just want to, you've talked about all the things that the UPND, you are not in agreement with. You've talked about the situation with FRA, you've talked about free education. Now, what are some of the things that you think the UPND have actually achieved in this administration? Because some people will say that the reason why the UPND had a hard time is because of what they adopted or what they got from the Patriotic Front. What are some of the things you can touch and say, okay, this is something that the UPND has done, and if we came into power, we would build up on this?
No, for me, UPND to me hasn't done anything because they don't even appreciate. Can you believe umukulu wose president aya iminina panani kane pa bridge Kazungura bridge alela ndazifye waikulire Kazungura bridge. It doesn't acknowledge anything, even ama solar plants ayoyo aleisula, they were done by PF. Ngabaisa pano pa radio. Ask them, not wale, and we have done a lot of things. Tell them to itemize, item by item, what they have done. Have you heard the way I'm itemizing what PF did? By item, I'm saying it. Huh? Let him on our hospital. Next mukamona, that guy who go there to teach me who built it. Gaya chitako fyama renovation. Ake teka tuishinga ake tanomba ba sami usuru. Panto wale mfuana na bwaba kutanzania. Bake sena padevi. Filafina tore ba Kagame. Kuna nikane Kazungura bridge. There is nothing. Bena achievement ni 1x3 classroom block. Hey, nana bachita achieve yengi. 2 ku CDF wali umfuira tikwa dina ba MP. Aba kundola rulo. Umukashi umuntu wakwata brain wino ulafola. You know, members of parliament have a salary at the month end. Bara fola ngabadina sitting every 2 weeks. They are paid 2,500. Limbino kulunda badi rundako. Ulenje mukashi wabo kutayapo ka CDF loan. Ngabambi bakasenda kwenshi. That query was brought to parliament. bayamba n'okusapota asenda muka MP asenda 100, was it 100,000?
So,
So those are the achievements to look after themselves. Now mfano balumbu, let me pay a challenge. Go to FRA, mupange a query, because the idea today mona social media, they are stamped. You are stamped to acknowledge that you have received. Ama negotiations, tell the nation, if truly it has been rooted from FRA, that's why our farmers are being exploited. They have even started selling maize at 200 kwacha per 50 kg.
Okay, we're still taking in more calls. It's 077-379-2475, 077-379-2475. Good morning, you're through to Capital FM 99.7. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Kenny.
Okay, under 1 minute 30 seconds, your contribution for us today.
Yeah, Mumbi Phiri, mwakabwaji mama.
Na ukabwino dadi mwakabwanji.
Bueno. Yeah, I think what you are talking, we should balance it both sides. You talked about FRA, that there are certain guys who swindled, and you are telling our sister, the journalist, to go there, which is not their work. Why you didn't report that matter to police? Then we talked very much on education. You said no, although you refused that you are not PF, but PF is still in your mouth. You talked about building schools. Now, which school did you build that failed to cater the free education when we are taking our children to school for Mahara? Then Mushindo University, I think you got information how you group that money that we are supposed to build that university. That issue, it has not just to die naturally, just like that. Why we couldn't build that university?
My brother Ken, those who...
I'm still talking.
I'll give you time.
Okay.
You answer.
Okay, Mr. Ken,
Mr.
Ken, as we are calling,
I wanted to engage you.
She's trying to engage you.
I'm trying to engage you.
Okay,
in a very civilized manner. Why haven't you reported those people who have eaten money from Mushindo University, which you are talking about?
The issues under investigation is there.
So, if it's in
you got information.
Just have him finish. Okay, Mr. Ken, you can go ahead and finish your contribution, and then to respond to your questions.
So that's the thing. So let us be sober enough. It's very bad habit whereby you are eating the crocodile while your body is still in the water.
Okay.
It's very bad habit.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks
Ken.
a lot.
We appreciate your contribution. We'll take one more caller. Good morning. You're through to Capital FM 99.7. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Thank you, Mama.
And Mzwira Shanwama Angela.
Your contribution for us?
Why?
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll take two more callers. All right. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to take two more callers. In conclusion. All right, thank you very much. We'll take on two more callers. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. You're through to Capital FM. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Good morning, moderator.
Okay, good morning. In under 1 minute, 30 seconds, your question, comment, or contribution.
My name is Jonathan Kanza. I'm calling from Zingalunga Yeni Matero.
Okay, go ahead.
Tata mashibuka fye bwino katuishi bena.
lesale bana imapokukwata ishuko lya kutira na myumfa mwabakulejo mayo
Emkwai.
alama pipo yenu eyo twalete paka bonse pamole sali kwata makali asuka.
Amen.
Ero lesa asuka mwisaka manapo nangu chimo kwebekala mukomboni fulani Yesu yakutiro ubuteko pase dini limayiro twala mukupota kuya abafumyapwa baba mukukulu aba akabola alava batuchushu kutwirire emiti mukyalo amalayi kyokutwisha muri foye lero babwela bese bamoneke kwati bali babakayele kukinto kyesu bali kipo kinto kyesu kibali kitabo bali nduine mwaba mona bali bize na makampini yabo tapati pona ngujimo mukomboni mwali beli akiri yabo ili akuyaba mayo.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. We'll take the last caller for the show. Good morning. You're through to Capital FM 99.7. Your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. As our last caller, your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, Catherine.
Okay, Catherine, contribution yenulelo.
Okay, mayo wa Mumbi Phiri mayo mwabuka shani.
Nabuka febwino mayo mwashibuka shani.
Awe twabuka febwino mayo ubuchushi fyo twa tuletera baba UPND sala mayo twachula.
Icho chintu
mayo tule mifwaya mayo na twishwa muleisa mule ingira mayo. Namumonaka abantu ababo akabwala ala abakukabwala wali chiramo mwamonenika. Ifintu tulemona nokumana amenso Yesu mayo ofo baleyi ofo balechita ofo baona ulechalo abantu mayo nabona ulechalo twe bali background pano tulemona village chikamayo ama business yali onaika tulechula besa baleyi tuntumba pachifuba chiyo free education cash transfer cha depending on fibo for bachita mayo free education to already pila to contribute 100 kwacha pa not meet.
Okay.
Afya kudi yati mfiri mwaleta maandwe twacha mayo na kwa tomwana wandipali mayo baba mo 120 mu class baba mo 120 tapabo fati tomwana mayo kutumwa mfano oluse free education yo free education tapali for yet tamayo abantu aba awe lesale bamona bakabwala alaba just mama yo bombe nipo kutwala
we'll have you tackle those callers.
Okay, let me start with let me start with Catherine. Catherine chachi naba abantu alanabo na ulechalo. Olo na mwisho ine chile nkaripa twalikwata ku parliament okubalanda ati ba president nga bayisula parliament balabwekeramu after 6 months ida balanda ati principles morals principles whatever it's called. Muchalo for the first time in the history of Zambia mwasango mubidi wa muntu, and for that matter not an ordinary person oba ambirirepo kateka baya usende wa balungu baya kakaula ukwabula family yabo to be present mu foreign land muchalo chabene eronga twakonka batwe bati owaire chita identify chire chitumbi chabalungu ni nani uwako embassy first secretary political fofwe babomba po mu foreign service ni political inshini shushushu busho ishushushu let's say aya chita identify ukwabula ba blulu babo baya mkuchita post mortem inenda chingirira musana because when I lost my son mukawambwa disaster abaire mkuchita witness post mortem ni ba wish my husband and bali njebere the process of bachita post mortem nga waingiriramo ifwenta ambishesu liraba kainde nga baleya mu parliament okulanda pali tradition and culture yesu ifwenta ambishesu nga abena Zambia across the board omwana kashi ngafwa ni baby alikula you understand mwe bakalambo fondera ndaba musambika bana kashi omwana umengafwa nangu ali 1 month 2 months ngadi kula bana mayo tetibe kateko entambishesu asungwa na bashibantu eba mukita fyonse bwino takwaba ine pano mperere uno mwaka nde kumanya 57 years nangufye uwa 56 nga nimfwa ine ndela ndefi pantu ine nesenti ananda sambike fitumbi fya bantu bale pusha ni age group eyo ndimo abakulireko pali ine uwa 58 ewu ingansambika ushauri omwana wale chita witness postmortem wafumine ku government alilingana na balungu elwadi shama pantu. This is biblical which I'm going to tell you. Nangu uli omwana bali abana babiri abamwene wishi nakolwa aifuula abawona obwamba uli owamusekere bali mutipira alitipirwe uli owafimbire bawishi ali owapalwa uli owachitire postmortem umwayiche okuyamukukita witness postmortem. The way postmortem is carried ala alishama entambi nga waingira mwola inenga nachingiriramu ne umone efyo bushe ero nga baleima bakaya imashana ngo babwekerapo bakayiranda pama morals and principles. As if that's not enough, balefwa ababantu nga balefwa abachipange habiti because twali umfafutu yumulumendo baipeyo walelisho olwimbo lwa Mundubile twali umfa kuli babululu babo balanja tinawo bali amuchita postmortem ukwabula babululu bakwe bushe ekyalo twala ikaramo ichakweba tine nga nafwa my family has no say kuchitofo balefwa abababuteko. Thirdly, ichalo echi bananjera ngefyo mwachiranda bushenga ni ba PF batumine 80 million bushe baba kuzesko batu tutabasambirira bale yumfati bali kwata abantu abasambirira kuti batuma 80 million ku China by mistake. Ero nanomba taira abwera. Is it a mistake or deliberate? My brother Baken kanishi mwachilala ndira peskuru ya kapasa makasa imwenga na mwishi bati sanda investigation because of nachila fo kumipusha kwebati abo abali involved nabali in charge mwadi beshi babushe nishitamu abekatira ngani bakabwalala nishitamu abekatira nomba pantu mwalishi bati bufi na ile university mulandapo iya kuluwapula ya mishini na timu alefo kupanga propaganda apa kuikata pabulo adomba ni ngombera shaba nobe moneshenu ngombera shaba nankwe monesho besha kukopolelo moba UPND mwale tota mwale ombe shaba nenu ishenu shadi mikopolelo mo FRA idia report ifumine tamwa ishiba kanshina procedure tamu ishiba ti abama journalists bakateka benu bakainde ichirema bali chita sign right to information bill and he has ascended his signature to that bakeni ngatamwa ishiba it's their job ukusenda ine balemba na query alamweba nero nde mipera 1 week because icha kukonkolubiro na wachikonkolubiro ababakeni tubasambirishe tabeshibe mulembe kwa query mutume ku Ministry of Information batwebe because those letters have got date stamps.
Alright.
And then in kwata personal interest pantumo balerumbula mulya Max Muwe is my son. Te tibona uleshina lya mwana nga te chachi no Max Muole koko asuka. Let the law do the right thing because those documents are authentic. Baleko naula. And for those who don't know, Max Muwe bawisheba tonga bani na bakumwesu. Max Muwe is a breadwinner. Bani na bawishibadi for eusunga the entire family. You can't mess him up like that.
Okay. As we conclude, we're going to ask you one last question, and the big question is a direct answer. If come 2026 August general election, Honorable Brian Mundubile is not announced as president, what is your next political move?
He will be announced president. They have no doubt. This person is gone.
Despite how the politics is looking like, the landscape, you are sure
Let me tell you, they don't even have room. Ushana umona the people in uniform. Efobale butuka. You know, it's so embarrassing. You know, according to the protocols, I was the first presidential air hostess Waraka Unda. I have never seen this thing which we are seeing before. Yesterday I was late on your program. Why? Because the road was closed. The president was going to the airport. According to the protocol, I am a service chiefs. They are just supposed to have one sweeper. Ili kuntanshinga bale pita and mulesera mumusebo. Omusebo uleisarwa for a long time because ama chief whatever they are called. Bazaf commander, banani. Na bakwata na bo motorcade when they are supposed to have one sweeper. What are they afraid of? They are afraid of the people they are supposed to preside over. Ababantunga waba monofo barenda na abeshiba ureba monanga wabona zaf commander they are na ngwi ama motoka 4. What are they afraid of? They are gone. Even rigging my elections, no matter what they do, bafula abantu ama uniform, bachiteshani, babafuika, nothing. Because how do you think all this information is coming out?
Okay.
It's because people are fed up.
All right. And that is it for us today. We had Mumbi Phiri in the studio. Quite a very lengthy and insightful conversation we did have right here. If you're just joining us, you can definitely tune in on Capital FM 99.7. It's live. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate the interview.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Invite me again.
Definitely.
So that I bring you my granddaughter. Who is Nganareta Udiodi mu grade 4, it will be too much. Ndeto amu grade 2. Aba atampire na system iya kwebati. Aba kwata bana kulo aba kwata system. Oro bali munani kane mu private school. Ukaba amazed. Next time you should call me, I come with her.
Definitely. So it's been Capital FM 99.7. You have been listening to Esther right here in the booth, sitting down with Mumbi Phiri. You can catch us on our Facebook or Instagram platform at Capital FM 99.7.